Today, I am going to talk about my foray into programming. How I got my first programming job, how I got the programming jobs after that, and how I eventually fell out of programming. And how I plan to get back into programming, because I'm actually going to try and get back into programming. Because I think it's a decent way to make money, and you can do it from pretty much anywhere there's internet. So anyways, the beginning. Well, the beginning actually starts with my brother. My younger brother, he's slightly younger than me, 1 year younger. He decided to become a programmer when he was 16. And he learned PHP, and then he went to a website called rentacoder.com. I think now it's changed to something else. It's changed to like vworker, or it might have even changed to something else after that. But he went to that website. He learned PHP. He learned HTML. He learned all the basic stuff that you need. He went to a website and he not auditioned. He applied for, you apply for a job there, basically. You apply for freelance work. He applied for freelance work and he charged $100, and he gave them the message, this is going to be like my first time trying, so I'm not really doing this for the money, so I'm just going to charge you $100, which probably would cost a lot more to do this. But I'm just doing this so you can please give me a good review. And so he did the job, and he got good reviews, and then he eventually was able to build up from that to getting more jobs, and eventually he found this company called SEOVB, and he joined that, and that's pretty much where his story ends, at least for now. Now me, I wanted to get into programming too. I decided to follow his example, so I also went to rentacoder.com. I learned PHP, I learned JavaScript, HTML, and whatever. My choice was I was going to try and become a professional JavaScript guy. I wasn't going to learn PHP, actually. I was just going to learn JavaScript. So I learned JavaScript, and then I looked for jobs. I went to Rent-A-Coder, and by that time it had changed to the name vWorker, but that doesn't matter that much. And I found a job at a JavaScript job. It was basically I just had to make like a drop-down box that did something visually interesting. I forget exactly what it was, but it was for some sports site. I had to do a drop-down box. And I bid about $5 for it. And he accepted the offer because it was so low. And then I did it. And I made like the deadline, I think, a day or two, when I think I overestimated like my ability to do it quickly, because it took me a few more days, but it was really because there was communication between me and the client, and so he was cool with it because he wanted to have the thing that he wanted, and he was only paying $5 for it anyways. But anyways, that was the first job that I did, and then I never did any other jobs after that. So how did I get into programming? Well, my brother Nick had an in for me. He got me a job at the company that he had been working for, SEOVB. And I learned PHP, I learned vBulletin, I learned all the stuff that needed to be learned. And then he just gave me some jobs in that thing. And eventually I started doing jobs outside of like his realm. He didn't give me them, just like the company gave me them. And then I believe in that time I made about like, I'm going to say like maybe like $2,000 at most, not that much money. But that's what I did. And eventually, for some reason or another, I just stopped working. I don't know what happened. I think I just lost communication with the client that I had and never got communication back and stopped working. Because I was working for this dude called Russ, and his website is nworld.org, enworld.com, or .org or something like that. I was designing this system to basically it's a Dungeons and Dragons website. I was designing this system that allowed you to create tables of monsters and then create generators, which would generate like a sentence. You could like write down a sentence in this thing and then like insert variables into that sentence. So it's like, this monster appears, or like you walk into the forest and all of a sudden a giant wolf comes out. And then like a different random thing, you walk into the forest, all of a sudden a giant lizard comes out, or a small lizard comes out, like that kind of thing. And I made a system so you could design these kinds of sentences and you could also like it was very sophisticated. Actually, it was pretty fun to design. I remember I actually worked really hard on it. And it was fun because it was a recursive programming. It was basically a recursive function. Recursive function is a function that calls itself, which so basically it repeats, and it keeps on repeating until it is completely done and there's nothing else to repeat. And that's basically what it was. And I remember that like the first design that or the first version of it that I put out, it took like 10 seconds or something to compile a really long, complicated generator, a really long, complicated sentence, or a bunch of tables at once. And Russ wasn't happy with that, and so he wondered if I could get the speed a little bit faster. And I didn't know how to do that, but I figured it out. I actually completely redesigned the entire thing, and then got the speed much faster. I used a different function that PHP had instead of, I don't want to go into the details. The details are not explainable to anyone who's not like, a programmer. You know what? That's a cop-out. I could probably try and explain it, but I just don't think it's not that important. So I was working for Russ for a long time, or for a while, and programming jobs, and I know that my brother also had this problem, so it's not just me. I'm pretty sure this is everybody who's done programming work, especially freelance programming work. There's a lot of procrastination that happens. Like, I procrastinated so much on all of those jobs. I took way longer than I should have. But it's just something that happens, You don't want to do it, and it's very hard, and you have to think in a certain way, and the more you procrastinate, the less you want to do it. And then you just keep on going less and less and less, and then at the end, whatever, blah, 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 procrastination. And so it might have been that, like, I just procrastinated so much on the final thing that Russ wanted me to do. I think he wanted me to. So I actually did finish the generator system, so it does work. You can go to the website, nworld.com, and look at the section with generators, and you can use it. But he wanted to have some other extra features. He had like a bunch of stuff planned out for me to do. And I guess what happened is I never got around to it. So there might be some bad blood in the company right now against me. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything. I don't know if there's just water under the bridge at this point, or if I were ever to try and go back there, I don't know if I would be accepted or not. Whatever. Now I'm going to talk about my plans to get back into programming. So, according to my brother, who has been doing this programming thing, and he has sticked with the programming thing and has gotten really good at it and done, achieved things and whatever, worked for several different companies and found his way in. He says that the main websites are kind of dying, right? It's not like really about websites anymore. Like, it's still like you still got to know how to design websites, but they're kind of dying, and it's just coming down to mobile apps now. And so the best thing for me to learn would be first there's a JavaScript framework or a JavaScript CSS framework called Bootstrap, and then that's for websites. And then there is a JavaScript framework that is based off of Bootstrap called Ratchet that is specifically for mobile devices. So I'm going to learn those two. And I already even have a plan for what I'm going to do after I learn them. Because, when you can learn a language and it doesn't really do anything for you. And it doesn't really put anything on your resume if you learn a language. Oh, I know this language. Well, how do you know this language? How can you prove that you know this language? You need to have an example of work that you've done with that language. So I've decided that I'm going to make a phone app. That's going to be like my final project. And maybe after that, I will decide. And this is kind of like all arbitrary stuff that I just decided on a whim. I already bought a $25 a month Lynda account, so I'm going to be paying. So that gives me kind of like a motivation to keep on learning this stuff. And anyways, but yeah, I'm going to design a phone app. I know what the phone app is. I don't want to talk about what it is because maybe someone will steal the idea. I think it's a cool idea. I don't know if it's been done yet. It's actually based on an idea that, it's not my idea originally, but it's based on an idea of a website that I used to visit a lot that I really was a fan of. And so, I'm going to build a cool phone app, and then I'm going to put that on my resume, and then maybe I'll build something else after that. Maybe that will sell. Maybe I can put advertisements on that app and make a decent amount of money from it. I don't know. But if it doesn't, even if it doesn't sell, it'll be a good piece to put on my resume, and I will be able to, on my examples of code work, and then maybe after that I'll decide on another project and go onward from there. So that is my plan. So that is my history of coding, and that is my plan for the future. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. This is the end. It has been 10 minutes and 14 seconds. See you guys later.